right, hello wine drinking people. It is Friday, November 26th. Just getting over our tryptophan day. Yesterday laying on the couch and watching football and eating some good turkey and drinking some great wine. But we've got a few events left to finish up the year here. We got Luc Bouchard on Tuesday. We've got the winemaker for Newton Vineyards at the Ritz-Carlton on Thursday. And then we've got our vintage port tasting here on Friday night. We're going all the way back to 1934. And we'll have some great vintages, including 45, 55, 48 Fonseca, the 100-point wine, and a lot of great stuff. And, you know, Wine Watch Catering, my wife Tony will be here in our new room. We're going to enjoy the new atmosphere we've created here and some great port next Friday night. And that's it for us, folks, in 2010. We're going to have our nose to the grindstone here the rest of the year, making sure you, our big kids, get their wine in time for the holidays. All right, well, so what did I drink yesterday? Well, you know, this segment of the show is going to get really short because, unfortunately, I don't get to drink near as much this time of year. You don't want me drinking this time of year because we edit the right cards and packages going to the right place. So we try to keep things on the straight and narrow here in the month of December. But we did have a great dinner on Tuesday night here at the store with Filippo Chia, the next generation from Castello Romitoro. And it was great to sit and break bread with Filippo. What a great guy. And his father, Sandro Chia, who bought this property in 1984, is probably the most famous contemporary Italian artist that is still living today in Italy. And Sandro came here when he was just in his 20s. He was commissioned by the Guggenheim Museum to do a display there and met all kinds of famous people like Andy Warhol. And Filippo was telling us how he has 3 pictures that were painted by Andy Warhol of him when he was a child. So very interesting stuff. And his father was born penniless. His grandfather died homeless. And he said, I want to have a castle in Italy. That was one of his goals. And the first thing he did when he made money was buy a castle in Italy. And Filippo was telling everybody, well, you know, I live in the castle, you know, and kind of cool. I don't know what denotates a castle. Do you have to have a moat? Do you have to have a drawbridge or whatever? Just a big house or what? But, man, we got a lot of castles here in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, man. A lot of big houses on the Intercoastal. But this is kind of neat. It's in the countryside. Montalcino is a small geographical area. There's only about 220, 230 producers total. And Sandro was the next generation or the next wave of producers to move in. You have your original people well, of course, Beyond Santi, and then Barbie, and then Canalicchio de Sopra. These are all guys that started pre-1960. Valdicava, Vincenzo Abruzzesi's father, and these were all, you know, kind of the original people in Montalcino. And then you had the second wave of people in the 80s, and then the 90s. You have like a kind of your third wave. But this is one of the second wave of producers. Started in 1984, as I mentioned before, when Sandro bought the property. Filippo took charge after finishing his education at New York State University, NYC, I think is where he went. But he said, you know, he speaks perfect English. And that's because he was educated here in the United States of America. But he also speaks Italian because he is from Italy. And some fabulous wines. I'd like to congratulate you, Filippo. You know, when I saw you earlier in the year, I told you, your 2004 Brunello Reserva is the best wine that I've had from the 2004 vintage. And then you had to go and enter it in a London wine competition. I don't know why you did that. They picked it number 1 out of 1,200 wines. This is a very prestigious wine competition, and to be picked as number 1 is a huge deal. I don't want to say it's more important than having Andrew pick you as the best Brunello of the year, because I do taste a lot of great wines also, but I've always liked Castello Romitoro for the value. The Romito de Romitorio was the first wine produced at this estate. It's Cabernet, Sangiovese, and Caniolo. It's almost always the same exact blend. And then, you know, they were waiting for the Sangiovese vines to come online before they started making Brunello. But now they make Rosso di Montalcino, they make Brunello, they've got the Rosso Sant'Antimo, and they've got the Morellino di Scansano. Outstanding vintages. 07 Rosso di Montalcino was my favorite of the 2 Rossos. We had 06 and 07. Both great vintages, but the 07 just seemed a little more savory, a little more, you know, when it finished, it had a little more freshness to it. The 06 was a little heavier, so you're really splitting hairs between these 2 vintages. They're 2 classic vintages in Montalcino. And then the 04 vintage wines. 04 is a killer vintage in Montalcino. Those of you that have been watching the show, you know how I feel about 04. If you love Brunello, you need to have some of these 04s in your cellar. You want them 20 years from now, or even 10 years from now. You know, Brunello's released after 5 years, still not ready. In great vintages like 2004. Still need some time in the bottle. And if you have 04 and 05 next to each other, you'll really see the difference between these two vintages. 04 has been very highly touted. 05, you know, even though Filippo got 3 glasses for his 05, and, you know, the highest score in the Wine Spectator for his 05 for a Brunello Normale, I'm not talking about all the Reservas also, when you have these wines side by side, you really see the difference. The 05 is more forward. It's more appealing today. The 04, a much more serious wine, a wine that's built to last. And then we had the 03. The 03 Brunello, you know, 03 is marked by heat, and it was very different than the other two on the nose. Didn't have the elegance and the finesse that 04 or 05 had, but I still like the 03 a lot. I think 03 is a good choice to drink young. Didn't have as long of a finish, but a really nice wine. The Morellino di Scansano sees no oak at all. This is another DOCG now as of 2006 in Tuscany, and this is Sangiovese and Caniolo, and a really nice, fresh, light style of Sangiovese. Sangiovese, a lot of people compare to Pinot Noir because of its light and savoriness. The estates in Tuscany I would compare to Bordeaux. They're bigger estates, much more grandiose. And then the estates in the Piedmont I would compare to Burgundy. But I've got to agree with that analogy with Sangiovese. You know, very elegant, very refined. And we had one person at the event, that Paul and Nancy. And Nancy, Paul says, look, my wife she doesn't really care for a lot of reds. Do you mind serving her white wine when we drink the reds? And she loved these wines. And these wines are white wine. I don't want to say white wine drinkers, red wines. But if you want a lighter red, Sangiovese in a Rosso di Montalcino or a Morellino di Scansano is an excellent choice. And even great wines to have with lighter fish dishes. If you want to have a red wine with fish, you want to drink red wine, but you don't want to eat meat, Sangiovese, Morellino di Scansano from Castello Romitoro, a great choice. And let's see, did we cover all the wines we had? I think we pretty much hit everything that we had that night. And hey, Turkey Day yesterday. You know what? Not a big holiday in terms of great wines at my house, but we always have the staff over. Tony makes 2 different kinds of turkey, and we have some nice wine. Not anything, you know. Christmas is really the time where we bust out the big guns, and we have foie gras, and we have, you know, filet mignon, and some really sexy food, caviar. But I took a bottle of this Beaune Clos de Ursules 2007 in Magnum home. This wine is stunning. 07, light and fresh style reds come from this vintage. Lovely cherry fruit, lovely exotic spice in this wine, and that lovely gravelly minerality you get from wines from Beaune. And drinking very nicely right now. We have this on sale for like $115 a bottle for a Magnum. The perfect choice. We had about 20 people over at the house. Jed Steele, thank you very much for sending us a Magnum of your writer's block. Zinfandel is a great choice also for turkey. We had that. We had the Beaune Clos de Ursules, a bottle of tequila, several bottles of champagne. And I think we still have some of both of the Magnums left. So a little heavy on the champagne and tequila yesterday at my house. Well, that's what I had to drink yesterday. I'm your host, Andrew Lampasone, signing off for the Wine Watch, saying remember, always drink the good stuff first.